They told me the room didn't exist. They showed me the floor plans. They showed me the walls. And still, every night something behind that wall was waiting for me to remember. The room that shouldn't be. The apartment smelled like dust and old paint. Kenji stood in the center of the empty living room, cardboard boxes stacked around him like grave markers. The late afternoon light came through the window at a strange angle, too sharp, too thin. It made the walls look gray instead of white. He'd signed the lease 3 days ago. The landlord had smiled too much. A quiet building, the man had said. Perfect for someone who wants to be alone. Kenji did want to be alone. He always had. The first night he unpacked in silence. No music, no television, just the sound of tape being pulled from boxes and objects settling into place. He worked methodically, books on the shelf, clothes in the closet, kitchen utensils and drawers that stuck when he opened them. At some point, he turned toward the hallway and saw it. A door, not the bathroom door, not the bedroom door. A third door set into the wall between them, plain wood, no handle, no lock, just a door-shaped outline, darker than the surrounding wall, as if the paint had been applied in a different decade. Kenji stared at it, and he didn't remember seeing it during the apartment tour. He walked closer. The floor creaked under his weight. When he reached out to touch the surface, his fingertips met wood, smooth, cold, real, but there was no way to open it, no gap, no hinge visible from this side. He stepped back. It's just a storage closet, he thought. They sealed it off, probably full of pipes or wiring, but the thought didn't settle right. The next morning, he called the landlord. "A door?" The man's voice crackled through the phone. "In the hallway?" "Between the bathroom and bedroom," Kenji said. "It's sealed." They paused. "There's no door there." Kenji frowned. "I'm looking at it right now." "I've managed that building for 15 years, the landlord said slowly. "There are 2 units per floor. Yours is a 1-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 closet, no extra doors." "Then what am I looking at?" Another pause, longer this time. "I don't know what you're looking at, but it's not a door." The line went dead. Kenji pulled up the floor plan on his phone. The blueprint was clean, simple. Living room, bedroom, bathroom, kitchenette. The hallway was just a hallway, a straight line connecting 3 rooms. No door. He looked up. The door was still there. He tried to ignore it. For 2 days, he walked past it without looking. He focused on settling in, organizing his life, building routines. Morning coffee, afternoon walk, evening silence. But the door pressed against the edge of his awareness like a weight behind his eyes. On the 3rd night, he stood in front of it again. The air around it felt different, colder, heavier, the kind of cold that doesn't come from temperature but from absence, like standing too close to a grave. He pressed his palm flat against the wood. "What are you?" The door didn't answer. But deep inside his chest, something tightened. He started dreaming about it, not the door itself, but what was behind it. In the dreams, he stood in the hallway and the door was open, just a crack. Darkness spilled out from the gap, thick and slow, like ink in water. He could hear something inside. Not a voice, not a sound, just a presence. Breathing, waiting. He always woke up before he could see inside. A week passed. Kenji stopped answering his phone. Stopped going outside unless he had to. The apartment became a capsule, sealed and silent. He ate standing up in the kitchen. He slept in short, broken intervals. And every time he walked down the hallway, the door was there, watching him. One night he pressed his ear against the wood. Silence. Then, faint, so faint he almost missed it. A sound. a child crying. He pulled back, heart pounding. No, not real. But the sound didn't stop. It grew softer, muffled, as if coming from somewhere very far away, or very deep. Kenji's hands trembled. "You know what this is," a voice whispered in his mind. "You've always known." He closed his eyes. "No, I don't." The next morning he found a crack in the door. It hadn't been there before. He was sure of that. A thin vertical line running from top to bottom, splitting the surface in two. He touched it, and the wood shifted slightly under his fingers. It wasn't sealed anymore. It was opening. He didn't sleep that night. He sat on the couch, staring down the hallway, waiting for something to happen. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the building settling. At 3 a.m., the door moved. Just a fraction, a barely perceptible shift, but enough. Kenji stood. His body moved on its own, pulled forward by something older than thought. He walked down the hallway one step at a time until he stood in front of the door. The crack had widened. He could see darkness inside. "Don't!" a voice whispered. "Don't open it!" But his hand was already reaching for the edge. The door opened. Inside was not a room. It was a space, dim, endless. The walls were the wrong distance apart, too close and too far at the same time. The floor was wood, but it didn't reflect light the way wood should. The air smelled like old paper and rain and something else, something he recognized but couldn't name. Kenji stepped inside. The door closed behind him. Objects appeared in the darkness. A small wooden desk, a child's chair, a cup with a chipped rim, a notebook with the corners bent. Each one emerged from the shadows like a memory surfacing from deep water. He walked toward the desk. On it was a piece of paper, a drawing. Crayon lines, clumsy, childish. A house, a tree, two figures standing in front of the house, one tall, one small. Kenji picked it up. His hands were shaking. "Why can't you just be normal?" The voice came from nowhere and everywhere. A woman's voice. Tired. Cold. "Why do you always make things so difficult?" Kenji's breath caught. He knew that voice. The room shifted. The desk disappeared. In its place, a doorway. Not a door, just a frame, leading into another space. Kenji walked through it. Inside was a kitchen, small, worn. The tiles were cracked. The wallpaper was peeling. A woman stood at the sink. Her back was to him. She didn't turn around. "I can't do this anymore," she said quietly. "I can't keep pretending." Kenji's throat closed. Mom?" She didn't move, didn't respond. "You're not my son," she said. "Not anymore." The scene dissolved. Another memory took its place. A hospital room, white walls, white sheets. A man sitting in a chair beside the bed. His father, older, grayer. He wasn't looking at Kenji. He was looking at the floor. "They said you'll need to stay here for a while," his father said. His voice was flat, empty. "Until you get better." "I'm not sick," Kenji heard himself say. His voice was younger, smaller. His father didn't answer. "I'm not sick," Kenji repeated. "Yes," his father said quietly. "You are." The memories came faster now. Fragments, flashes. Pieces of a life he'd buried so deep he'd forgotten it existed. Pill bottles, white coats, voices asking questions he didn't know how to answer. "Do you see things that aren't there? Do you hear voices? Do you know what's real?" He'd said no, over and over. No, no, no! But they hadn't believed him. Kenji collapsed to his knees. The room around him flickered, the walls bent inward, the ceiling pressed down, the floor tilted. This isn't real, he thought. None of this is real. But if the room wasn't real, if the memories weren't real, what was? He opened his eyes. He was lying on the floor of his apartment. The hallway, the real hallway. The door was gone. The wall was smooth, unbroken, as if it had never been there at all. Kenji sat up slowly. His chest was tight. His hands were cold. He looked around. Everything was exactly as it should be. The bathroom door, the bedroom door, no third door, no sealed room. It was in my head, he thought. All of it. He pressed his palms against his eyes. I'm sick. I've always been sick. The apartment was silent. Kenji stood. His legs felt weak, but he managed to walk to the kitchen. He filled a glass of water, drank it, set the glass down. He was alone. He was always alone. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on the couch, staring at the wall where the door had been. His mind was quiet now, empty. The memories had receded back into the dark. But as the hours passed, he began to notice something. A faint line on the wall, thin, vertical, barely visible. He stood and walked closer. It was there. A crack! Kenji reached out. His fingertips brushed the surface. And from somewhere deep inside the wall, he heard a key turn. If you want to hear more stories like this, you already know where to find me. Until next time, stay a little longer in the dark